I got nothing for the intro. Just nothing. No idea.
3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph, and this is Metagame Minute. Metagame Minute is a weekly segment where Mike or I talk about anything we want to talk about in the gaming world today. And today I want to talk about getting better at games. And what I mean by, I feel like I start everyone, I say something and I go, and what I mean by that? What I mean by that is games where you really have to get better at. And that's kind of all games, right? Like the more you play a game, the better you're presumably going to get at that game. You understand the mechanics more, you understand how this works against this, which works against this, and how they all flow together. And some games are more complicated than others. But that's one thing I think a lot of people enjoy about games, and I definitely enjoy about games, is really learning a game and honest to God getting better at it. Now, I'm not talking about games with just a really steep learning curve, like something like a Spirit Island, something where it's just like just learning the game and understanding even like what everything does. That's a whole nother thing. And I think that's kind of one of the things that holds people back from a lot of heavier games is the really steep learning curve. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about games where you play them, and as you play them, you progressively get better at them and gaining enjoyment from that process. Now, again, this can be really any games, but this kind of happens with bigger and heavier games. One of our favorite games, Teotihuacan right here, which is one of Mike's favorite games particularly. One of our good friends, a gentleman named Steve, a wonderful man, he has a thing that he always says about the game where he says, my goal in Teotihuacan is just to become mediocre at it. It's his words, that's what he always says. I actually think he's decent at the game. But that's his whole goal. It's not even to be good at the game or great at the game, just to be mediocre at it. And I've always thought that was a very funny concept, and I love the way he puts it like that, because I feel that way about a lot of games. I'm like, I just want to be halfway mediocre at this game, and I'll be pumped, you know? And I feel like a lot of us kind of have that feeling about it. And so I love that process. I love the idea, the concept and the feeling of really learning a game, or really getting legitimately better at it because I've learned it, I've worked it on it in my head even when I'm not playing the game. You know, those games where you just think about them all the time. And I think the best example for this is something like Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven is a giant, massive game, and this topic came to my mind because I was talking about Gloomhaven with a couple friends, both of which weren't super huge on the game. Thought it was fine, but you know, nothing super crazy or anything like that. And I really like Gloomhaven, and it's #1 on Board Game Geek, so do a lot of other people. Don't mind that truck. Cool thing, Jerry. Thanks. But nonetheless, we were talking about Gloomhaven. We were talking about how, like, it's kind of like Gloomhaven, don't get me wrong, is a big, massive, wonderful game. But like the mechanics of the game in terms of like the scenarios and the dungeon crawl aspect of it isn't that revolutionary. You know, it's don't get me wrong, like it's super cool. I love all the enemies. I love the way the dungeon crawls work, but it is still just a dungeon crawler. It's got a whole bunch of other stuff going on. But to me, that's not why I like Gloomhaven. It's not because like the dungeon crawling is so good or these monsters you're fighting are so cool. The thing that's enjoyable to me about Gloomhaven is learning your character and just legitimately getting better at playing your character. Everyone has a different character in Gloomhaven, and you have these cards, and the cards are all pretty self-explanatory. They work pretty easily, they work pretty well, but really learning the game and really learning how, like, I'm playing the Cragheart, and like it takes 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 games in, and then you're really like, oh, every single game I understand how these cards work better. I understand how to mesh them together and then play this one and then play this one. In these certain scenarios, I can play these combinations of cards, and you just really start to learn your character, and you get better, which is great because as you get better, you start leveling up, you start getting more complicated cards, and all the monsters start getting stronger and stronger. But you start to really understand your character, and you start to really learn the game. And that's what I mean by I really enjoy the learning process of games, of of discovering a game, but then past the discovery of like getting more and more into it and legitimately becoming better at the game. I find that to be an incredibly satisfying process. And again, that happens with pretty much all games, but there are certain games like Gloomhaven that really cater to that feeling. And that's one of the reasons why I really love Gloomhaven. It's actually the main reason why I love it, is because I highly enjoy that process. So down in the comments below, let me know what games you think kind of cater to this feeling well. The feeling of like, man, I'm legitimately getting better at this game because I'm learning it, I'm understanding it, and I'm playing it. And then down in the comments below, let me know, do you feel the same way about this feeling? Do you enjoy this in board games? Is this one of the things that keeps you coming back? Because it's one of the main things that keeps me coming back. It's one of the main things that keeps us going with board games because there's so much new stuff coming out and it is our career now. It's tough, you know, but like the learning games and the discovering that and then getting deep and deep down into them is what keeps me coming around. It's kept me in this hobby for all these years, and it's what keeps it, so I'll probably never really leave this hobby, and I love it so darn much. It's one of my favorite things about it. So down in the comments, let me know if you feel anywhere near the same way as me, and make sure to put down games that you think fall into this category as well. And while you're down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. You know what to do. We are the Brothers Murph. If you really love what we do, consider supporting us on our Patreon. Honestly, the patrons that we have are amazing, and it really makes it so that we can continue doing this whole thing like this. But nonetheless, whether you love games where you can just really start to learn them and get deep, or you just want to play New York Slice, which isn't very deep, but you get to make pizza, and it's great. But there's not really much to learn about that pizza, but it's still great. Remember, the more meta, the more beta.